हरे कृष्ण। जय राधा माधव, जय कुंज बिहारी, राधा माधव Hare Krishna. Thank you all for coming today. The first day of the year and starting early also. So I'm sure some people are still on last week's schedule. Come. So today's verse is going to be Bhagavad Gita chapter 8, Attaining the Supreme, verse number 13. Ananya Chetah Satatam. Please repeat after me.
Ananya Chetah Satatam.
Yo Mam Smarati Nityashaha.
Yo Mam Smarati Nityashaha.
Tasyaham Sulabha Partha.
Tasyaham Sulabha Partha.
Nitya Yuktasya Yoginaha.
Nitya Yuktasya Yoginaha.
Ananya Chetah Satatam.
Ananya Chetah Satatam.
Yo Mam Smarati Nityashaha.
Yo Mam Smarati Nityashaha.
Tasyaham Sulabha Partha.
Tasyaham Sulabha Partha.
Nitya Yuktasya Yoginaha.
Nitya Yuktasya Yoginaha.
Ananya Chetah Satatam.
Ananya Chetah Satatam.
Yo Mam Smarati Nityasaha.
Yo Mam Smarati Nityasaha.
Tasyaham Sulabha Partha.
Tasyaham Sulabha Partha.
Nitya Yuktasya Yoginaha.
Nitya Yuktasya Yoginaha.
Prabhus.
Ananya Chetah Satatam.
Ananya Chetah Satatam.
Mam Smarati Nityasaha.
Yo Mam Smarati Nityasaha.
Tasyaham Sulabha Partha.
Tasyaham Sulabha Partha.
Yuktasya Yoginaha.
Nitya Yuktasya Yoginaha.
Mataji.
Ananya Chetah Satatam. Yo Mam Smarati Nityasaha. Tasyaham Sulabha Partha. Nitya Yuktasya Yoginaha.
Synonym. Ananya Chetah.
Ananya Chetah.
Without deviation of the mind.
Without deviation of the mind.
Satatam.
Satatam.
Always.
Always.
Yaha.
Yaha.
Anyone.
Anyone.
Who. Mam. Me. Krishna.
Krishna.
Smarati.
Smarati.
Remembers.
Remembers.
Nityasaha.
Nityasaha.
Regularly.
Regularly.
Tasya.
Tasya.
To him.
To him.
Aham.
Aham.
I am.
I am.
Sulabha.
Sulabha.
Very easy to achieve.
Very easy to achieve.
Partha.
Partha.
O son of Pritha.
O son of Pritha.
Nitya.
Nitya.
Regularly.
Regularly.
Yuktasya.
Yuktasya.
Engaged.
Engaged.
Yoginaha.
Yoginaha.
For the devotee.
For the devotee.
Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki.
Jai.
For one who always remembers me without deviation, I am easy to obtain. O son of Pritha, because of his constant engagement in devotional service. Please repeat after me. For one who always remembers me,
For one who always remembers me,
without deviation, and easy to obtain, O son of Pritha,
O son of Pr,
because of his constant engagement
because of his constant
in
engagement
devotional service.
in devotional service.
Purport. This verse especially describes the final destination attained by the unalloyed devotees who serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead in Bhakti Yoga. Previous verses have mentioned 4 different kinds of devotees: the distressed, the inquisitive, those who seek material gain, and the speculative philosophers. Different processes of liberation also have been described: Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, and Hatha Yoga. The principles of these yoga systems have some bhakti added, but this verse particularly mentions pure bhakti yoga, without any mixture of jnana, karma, or hatha, as indicated by the word ananya chetaha. In pure bhakti yoga, the devotee desires nothing but Krishna. A pure devotee does not desire promotion to heavenly planets, nor does he seek oneness with the Brahma Jyoti, or salvation or liberation from material entanglement. A pure devotee does not desire anything. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, the pure devotee is called Nishkam, which means he has no desire for self-interest. Perfect peace belongs to him alone, not to them who strive for personal gain. Whereas a Jnana Yogi, Karma Yogi, or Hatha Yogi has his own selfish interests. A perfect devotee has no desire other than to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, the Lord says that for anyone who is unflinchingly devoted to him, he is easy to attain. So if you look at the translation, it's a very, very important verse. All verses are important in Bhagavad Gita, but this is one of the essence of Bhagavad Gita. We all are wanting to achieve Krishna, we all want Krishna's attention, and yet it says how one can obtain Krishna by
Constant engagement in devotional service.
the first line.
For remembers me.
Always remembers me without.
Deviation.
So how can one easily obtain Krishna's mercy? By remembering Krishna. And how can one remember Krishna is in the last line.
Engagement in devotional
Constant
service.
engagement.
By constant engagement in devotional service. That's the key. So that's the link. So we want Krishna. So for Krishna, to achieve Krishna, clearly it says the types of devotees who come to him. There are the primary 4 devotees, types of people who come to him. Artho, Artharthi, Jignashu, the 4 that are mentioned. But there's also secondary. In Kali Yuga, there's more types of devotees. Those who are hungry for prasadam, those who are looking for, a good match for their children, this good community to come to. So there's like that many, many, many more who come. But these are the 4 types who primarily come. And without devotional service, the types of yoga is also mentioned. But Krishna says at the end, it's bhakti yoga. Many people have different forms, different conceptions. I'm into meditation. I'm into this process or this organization. Is the destination the same? Sometimes people ask me. And I tell them, I give them an example. Listen, if you want to go from New Jersey to Washington, D.C., you can go to California and then Florida and then come back to D.C. also. There's no one stopping you. But an intelligent person will look at the shortest distance from here to Washington, D.C. And that shortest distance is Bhakti Yoga. Because going to Washington, D.C. is basically getting Krishna's attention, going back to the spiritual world, serving Krishna. Now to get to that point, why go left and right and take so many detours to get there? Kali Yuga, our lifespans are very short. Understand this. By the time we even get some intelligence, some maturity to inquire about spiritual life, we already passed half our life. and the rest of half of our life we are become slaves to our addictions and our habits. So in previous yugas there was a lot of time to do all that. In this age there's no need to experiment. The experiment has been done. The experiment has been done by Ramanujacharya, by Madhvacharya, by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, by Nimbakacharya, by the Kumara Sampradaya. All these Sampradayas have already done that and they have laid down the path. So an intelligent person would say, hey listen, what's the use? Me trying to figure things out. So first one has to understand is go back to the basics, which is who am I? First we have to understand who am I. And from there we have to start. And if we understand that I'm a spirit soul, then the next step, okay, where did I come from? Then why am I here? Why am I suffering? What is my next destination? And by asking all those questions, you have to pray to Krishna, you have to pray to God, so-called God, if one doesn't know Krishna. I think here everybody is pretty much devotees, so I don't have to go that route of, pray to God. You have to pray to Krishna and say, please guide me. Now Krishna has put Bhagavad Gita in front of us. He's put the message directly right there. Bhakti Yoga, this process will take you there. So in other processes of yoga, as explained in this first paragraph, that there is some selfish motive, there's some selfish desire. I want to find inner peace. I want to just have my space. I just find this blissful. It's all, there is an I tied to all these things. I and me. When it comes to Bhakti Yoga, it is not about I, it is not about me. It is about Krishna. It is about his devotee. Understand, that's the difference. So be careful before you jump into Bhakti Yoga. Are you ready to serve that Supreme Lord, because of whom we have everything what we have today? And nobody will just jump like that. I just didn't wake up one day and say, oh, you know what? This is it. It took years and years. Actually, honestly, it didn't take me years. It took me a couple of days or weeks to understand this. And except, now only it was that I have to learn, I have to read, I have to become a good student. When in school, I was not a good student. I was so much into sports and activities. I was just sports, I'm right there first. School, I'm last, But when it came to spiritual, I took this very seriously. And those friends of mine who were always first in school, second in school, gold medals, today they're coming to me and asking, Prabhu, please help me. I don't know which direction I'm going. And that's the greatness of these books of Srila Prabhupada. My friends, my colleagues, they've done PhDs, double masters, so many things. And they have that material knowledge, but they don't know what is the purpose of life. And today, they come up and they say, please, can you guide me? And guide me not in programming. Guide me in some very, very important topics like relationships. Things are breaking apart. My boss is dealing with me like this. How do I deal with him? All these questions are there. And I said, you've come to the right place. Not just me, but I will guide you through these books. I'll guide you through these mantras. I'll guide you through this process of prasadam. But you have to accept that. If you're coming to a doctor and the doctor says, take this medicine 3 times a day for 4 weeks, you can't say, no, doctor, I don't want this one. I don't like this color of your medicine. I'm going to go to another doctor. It's not going to work. I don't like your Bhagavad Gita yellow cover copy. I know another Sampradaya has a blue copy. I like that. But we have to follow. And that is where we have to become humble. We have to take a humble position. So here, as I said, the process of bhakti is that Krishna is the center. And it will take time. That's why we have Kanishta Adhikari in the beginning. Then we go to Madhyam Adhikari level. Now we have developed strong faith in Krishna. And then Uttam Adhikari, now he's convinced. Nothing can shake that person. We'll continue reading. A pure devotee always engages in devotional service to Krishna in one of his various personal features. Krishna has various plenary expansions and incarnations, such as Ram and Narasimha. And a devotee can choose to fix his mind in loving service to any of these transcendental forms of the Supreme Lord. Such a devotee meets with none of the problems that plague the practitioners of other yogas. Bhakti Yoga is very simple and pure and easy to perform. One can begin simply by chanting Hare Krishna. The Lord is merciful to all, but as we have already explained, He is especially inclined toward those who always serve Him without deviation. The Lord helps such devotees in various ways, as stated in the Vedas, Kathopanishad 1.2.23, Yam evaishya vranute tena labhayas tasyaisa atma vrinunte tanum swam. One who is fully surrendered and engaged in the devotional service of the Supreme Lord can understand the Supreme Lord as He is. And as stated in Bhagavad Gita 10.10, Dadami buddhi yogam tam. The Lord gives such a devotee sufficient intelligence so that ultimately the devotee can attain Him in His spiritual kingdom. So, this is also important to understand that Krishna has many forms, or Vishnu has many forms. One may be attached to Ram or Narasimha, Narayan, Vishnu, Vamanadev. It's okay to worship them. It's not just Krishna or nobody else. There's a beautiful example and story in the Chaitanya Charitamrita where there was one devotee by the name Murari Gupta. This Murari Gupta was a very close, much elder to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, very close associate of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He was a very wonderful kirtanier, and he would take part in the kirtans of Mahaprabhu at every night. And Mahaprabhu told him that, wonderful, I like the way you worship Krishna. Krishna is the Supreme Lord. Krishna is the Lord, and you should continue like this. And Murari Gupta was a devotee of Lord Ram. And he knew, Mahaprabhu knew that he's a devotee of Lord Ram. So, but Mahaprabhu kept pushing him. He wanted to test him. So Murari Gupta, one day at night, he had in his dream, even he was thinking about this, it was very much bothering him. And he, that night, ran to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and in tears, he says, Mahaprabhu, what should I do? I am not able to give up my devotion to Lord Ram, and at the same time, I cannot disobey your orders, my Lord. What should I do? In such a dilemma. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu at that point said, Murari Gupta, do not worry, I was just testing your conviction in the service of Lord Ram. He says, continue. Because there is no difference between Lord Ram and Krishna. Your mood is, you are an incarnation of Hanuman. So Hanuman came as Murari Gupta in the pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So we have to understand that. So there is difference in worshipping Vishnu Tattvas, and there's a difference in worshipping Devis and Devatas. Two different things. So here clearly is explained that once worshipable Lord, we all in the spiritual world were serving the Lord in some form or other. Understand this. When we perfect our lives, we'll go back to the same place. It's like in a dream. When you sleep, you are not conscious. You're conscious, but you're not conscious. When you wake up, you're that same person. Oh, Ramchandra, I have to go to office now. Right? So in that sleeping state, basically we are here now in the material world. But our eternal position in the spiritual world is still there. We'll go back and we'll start serving in whichever mood. So we have to find who's our Aradhya Bhagavan. Who's that? If time came, last moment came in your life, who are you going to meditate on? Which form of Krishna, if you're Krishna devotees, are you going to meditate on? You'll be completely confused. Is it Radha Raman? Is it Radha Govindadev? Is it Radha Madhav? All these, Radha Shyamsundar, all these are coming in front of me. I'm not able to focus on one of them. So that is very important. The special qualification of the devotee is that he's always thinking of Krishna without deviation and without considering the time or place. Therefore, there should be no impediments. He should be able to carry out his service anywhere and at any time. Some say that the devotee should remain in holy places like Vrindavan or some holy town where the Lord lived. But a pure devotee can live anywhere and create the atmosphere of Vrindavan by his devotional service. It was Sri Advaita who told Lord Chaitanya, wherever you are, O Lord, there is Vrindavan. So many times I hear devotees want to go to Vrindavan and just stay in Vrindavan or Mayapur or any other places, which is wonderful. But they're not actually ready to be there. I think everything is rosy, everything is nice over there, which is. But in reality, Vrindavan is also a state of mind. It's also the place Vrindavan. But even where you are can be Vrindavan if you're completely engaged in the service of the Lord. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says here, Srila Prabhupada, our Guru, our Acharya, he left Vrindavan to come to the West. That's another example. He could have just stayed there. But wherever he went, he made that place Vrindavan like. Our own Bhakti Tirtha Swami Maharaj, a black-bodied sannyasi, he was living in Gita Nagari, in our farm community in Pennsylvania. And he was detected with cancer. And in his final stages, he was asked by many disciples and many of his well-wishers that, Maharaj, please, why don't you come to Vrindavan? We'll make the best arrangement for you, hospice and everything, and you'll be taken care of, Maharaj. At the end, you can remember Krishna. You know what Maharaj said? This is my battlefield. This is where I was preaching, and this is where I will die. And this is Vrindavan for me. So some senior devotees spent so much time with him in his last moments. And he was completely fixed on Krishna. So understand, it is not, sometimes we face so many problems that we just want to run away. We just want to run away from everything. And sometimes we may end up going to Vrindavan, or sometimes we may end up going somewhere else. But those problems are still there when we come back. But if we always constantly remember Krishna and constantly chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, we'll be able to handle these such situations. If you're constantly engaged in association of devotees, we will not have these problems. As indicated by the words Satatam and Nityasya, which mean always, regularly, or every day, a pure devotee constantly remembers Krishna and meditates upon him. These are the qualifications of the pure devotee, for whom the Lord is most easily attainable. Bhakti Yoga is a system that the Gita recommends above all others. Generally, the Bhakti Yogis are engaged in 5 different ways. Shanta Bhakta, engaged in devotional service and neutrality. Dasya Bhakta, engaged in devotional service as servant. Sakhya Bhakta, engaged as a friend. Vatsalya Bhakta, engaged as a parent. And Madhurya Bhakta, engaged as a conjugal lover of the Supreme Lord. In any of these ways, the pure devotee is always constantly engaged in the transcendental loving service of the Supreme Lord and cannot forget the Supreme Lord. And so, for him, the Lord is easily attained. A pure devotee cannot forget the Supreme Lord for a moment. And simply, the Supreme Lord cannot forget his pure devotee for a moment. It goes both ways. This is a great blessing of the Krishna conscious process of chanting the Mahamantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So constantly remembering Krishna is very important. And one may think that how is it possible? With such busy lifestyles, how is it possible? Or I live in Boston. We have one family here from Boston. Or you're coming from Arkansas or somewhere. I don't have such association like you guys have here. So it's difficult. We want to. But the good part is, in the world that we live in today, we can associate with Shah Rukh Khan and whoever else today's stars are who live in India, but we're associating with them here. We know everything that goes on around them. We are pretty much like, so close to them. Not we as in us. But whatever field, if you're into soccer, you are all the time thinking about Messi. So like that, in today's day and age, virtually, you can be associating with Krishna and his devotees anywhere. There is literally no reason not to be able to. But it's important that we do that all the time, and we have to push ourselves. Our mind will say, no, Today is very foggy outside. Driving is not good. No, tomorrow there's 2 inches of snow. Are we going to have a program, Prabhu? I said, when was the last time for 2 inches did we not have a program? We don't have a program and it's 8 inches. This is New Jersey. The mind will trick all these things to us. And the body will say, oh, I cleaned the garage, pura kitchen clean kiya. I did a pura spring clean up. I did so many things. This week, we can skip Krishna. But work I have to go. Because you know why. But if we make that determination, then I'll skip work, but I'll not skip Krishna. That devotee Krishna will remember. Because you did something that millions of people don't do. Millions of people are walking in this direction. You chose to walk in that direction. Guess what? For Krishna, who is he going to look at? Those million people closely, or is he going to look at you? You. Hanuman just didn't get into Lord Ramchandra's special list of devotees just like that. Sudama just did not get in a list of special devotees just like that. Wherever they were, how many times was Lord Ram and Hanuman together all the time? How many times was Sudama? Have you read his pastimes? Was he living in the next quarters to Krishna in Dwarka? No. He was living all the way in. Where was he living? Porbandar. So, we don't have to be physically around our spiritual masters. We don't have to be physically around Krishna. But yes, we need association of devotees. And one such devotee was Amrish Maharaj. In Srimad Bhagavatam, Amrish Maharaj's character, or how he was engaging himself is mentioned. Savai manah Krishna padar vindayor vachamsi vaikuntha gunanuvartananare karo harer mandira marjanadishu shrutim chakracharyuta sat kathodaye mukunda lingalaya darshane dasho tat bhritya gatra sparshe aninga sangamam घ्राणं च तत्पाद सरोज सौरभे श्रीमद् तुलसया रसनाम तत् अर्पिते पादो हरेर क्षत्रे पादानुसर्पणे शिरो ऋषिकेश पादाभिवंदने कामं च दास्ये न तु काम कामया यत्थो मा श्लोक जनाश्रया रतिः. Maharaj Amrish always engaged his mind in meditating upon the lotus feet of Krishna. He was always engaging his mind. When I say all of us or you, I mean myself. What are we meditating on? Prashadam just came. I saw 6 boxes. 2 must have sabji, 1 must have salad. What was the other one? Or, today we're starting program early. Papa, we're starting program early, so we finish at 8 o'clock. We'll eat prashadam at 6:30. So 10 o'clock before we sleep, what will we eat? What will you make, Mama? That thought will come. If not, it will come. Because 1 hour jaldi eating, at night you will feel hungry. So mind is, what I'm trying to say, is thinking all these things. What am I going to do next weekend? But here, Maharaj Amrish was always engaged his mind in meditating upon the lotus feet of Krishna. His words in speaking the glories about the Lord. As soon as the class will be over, we all will be speaking about everything but Krishna. But it's okay. We have Krishna in our hearts. We'll go to work and we'll speak about everything but Krishna. So, one who is always meditating on Krishna is naturally going to speak about Krishna. One who's meditating on a lover will automatically speak about that lover. Even in the sleep, we'll speak about that lover. So if that is in our mind, that will come. You give a drunkard something. You give this person a drink. If you want to know what is in their heart, just have them take a few packs. And whatever is in their heart will start spilling out. Yeah? One time, this lady went to her husband. He says, honey, it's our 25th anniversary, what are you going to get me this time? And he had a pan in his mouth. Kutri. Kutri means a female dog in Gujarati. So he was asking in Gujarati, Mari mate sula hose? Kutri? So she got so upset. She says, Kutri? Taro baap kutro. Tu kutro. Meaning he went back. He said, you are a dog. Your family is a dog. Blah, blah, blah. And he got really upset. And he spit out and he says, you fool, I'm telling you, I'll get you a Q3, Audi Q3. Yeah? Not a female dog, I'll get you a Audi Q3. So, like that, it happens, you know. One time, my wife asked me, what you're going to get me for, you know, it's our 25th anniversary. I said, what do you want? Mom, she said, I want something, she was very shy, you know. She said, I want something that goes from 0 to 60 in 3 seconds. So my goodness, she's talking about Tesla or something. So anniversary came and I brought her a small little box and I said, here. She says, what is this? So you forgot, I think, what I asked for. I said, no, it's right in there. And she opened the box. It was like this box. And she opened, it was a scale, weighing scale. I said, stand on it. This one will go in 1 second from 0 to 60. So, you know, and since then she doesn't attend my class. You know. She went upstairs. So Amrish Maharaj, like this, he engaged his hands and legs in cleaning the Lord's temple. Why the hands and legs are there? Not just to go for a walk, just go for a jog, you know, not just to go and sightsee, but you can engage them in the Lord's service. And his ears in hearing the words spoken by Krishna or about Krishna. He engaged his eyes in seeing the deity of Krishna. Acha, pura din you want to watch Kapil show. I know you all watch Kapil show. Or Kaun Banega Crorepati. But sometimes also engage your eyes in seeing the Lord. नहीं तो कौन सा कपिल देव आएगा इनमें पता नहीं है बॉलर कपिल देव और कपिल शर्मा और लॉर्ड कपिल देव at the end of our lives. We want to focus on the right Kapil Dev. He engaged in Krishna's temples and Krishna's places like Mathura and Vrindavan. He engaged a sense of touch in touching the bodies of the Lord's devotees. When we are dancing, I heard this in one lecture once, and after that I never stopped dancing. He says, even while dancing in Kirtan, if you rub a devotee's shoulder, you get so much mercy. You want to be in that situation. He engaged a sense in smell in smelling the fragrance of tulsi or flowers offered to the Lord. And he engaged his tongue in tasting the Lord's prasad. He engaged his legs in walking to the holy places and temples of the Lord. His head in bowing down before the Lord. अरे एक बार तो झुक के देखो सर को एक बार नीचे कृष्ण के सामने. Once you bow down to Krishna, he will never forget that, and he will give you back 10,000 times. When you're in a situation, most difficult situation, Krishna will try to find something good in you and say, okay, that one time, वो एक डायमंड का रिंग नीचे वाइफ का गिर गया था पर मेरे टेबल के नीचे का, and he was, husband kept looking for the wife's diamond ring under Krishna's altar. Krishna said, oh, mere ko, he paid obeisances. He will take even that as an offering. He engaged and all his desires in serving the Lord 24 hours a day. Indeed, Maharaj Amrish never desired anything for his own sense gratification. He engaged all his senses in devotional service, in various engagements related to the Lord. This is the way to increase attachment for the Lord and be completely free from material desires. And now we see, because he was serving Krishna like this, when time came, he was a great king, he was ruling over Bharatvansha. And one time he did a fast, Ekadashi fast. And on Dwadashi, the next day, he has to break his fast. He did not eat anything, drink anything. And at that time, the great sage Durvasa Muni shows up at his door. And Durvasa Muni comes and he says, okay, he welcomes him like a king, like a Vaishnava should welcome somebody. That Maharaj, you have come, please come sit, clean up, freshen up, and let me serve you some prasadam. Durvasa Muni said, yes, but let me first go to Yamuna and take a bath. So Maharaj Amrish was performing this in Vrindavan. He says, I'll go to the Yamuna and come back. He went to the Yamuna, but the Paran time, the time to break the fast was very short, and he had to break it. You got to break the fast at a certain time to get the benefit of your fasting, your austerity. But at the same time, he knew that if I break my fast, Durvasa Muni it's going to be an insult. That's how elevated these souls were. Abhi to koi guest aaya to kya hai? If I want to eat first, I'll eat first. I'll serve them my remnants, my leftover. What difference it makes. But he was so particular about it, he didn't want to offend Durvasa Muni. So he asked the Brahmanas, what should we do in this situation? So for advice, he said, you can take some water. Drinking water is also like breaking fast, but at the same time, you have not taken any grains. So he took a little, one drop of water. Durvasa Muni, meditating, found out that Amrish Maharaj did this. He came back and he got so upset at Amrish Maharaj for nothing. For nothing. How many times you are in that situation? You really have not done anything and somebody gets upset with you. Amrish Maharaj takes a lock of hair from his head, he pulls it, he says some mantras, and from that he produces a fearful demon, red eyes, about to kill you. And this demon is about to kill Amrish Maharaj. But because Amrish Maharaj was remembering Krishna all the time, if you remember Krishna for 5 minutes, Krishna will remember you for 5 minutes. Amrish Maharaj was remembering Krishna all the time. At that time, Krishna said, this is not fair, doing this to my devotee. Sudarshan Chakra, before even Krishna could say anything to Sudarshan Chakra came there and killed that demon. And after that, it started running after Amrish Maharaj. Durvasa Muni. Durvasa Muni ran here and there. He went to Brahma, he went to Shiva. Nobody accepted him. He could go, he could travel to Brahmalok, he could travel to Shivalok. And after that, he goes to Lord Narayan. And guess what Narayan says? I cannot protect you because you have offended my devotee. You have to go to my devotee and ask for forgiveness. So he comes back and look at Amrish Maharaj. Now, if somebody has criticized you, chastised you, what to speak about trying to kill you, it's not easy to forgive that person. But here is a quality of a Vaishnava. Amrish Maharaj held no grudge against Durvasa Muni. And this is one of the reasons why Krishna loves him also. This is my devotee. He said, I have nothing. Please, Sudarshan Chakraji, please, you go back to Krishna. Leave him alone. And Durvasa Muni saw the Sudarshan go back. He fell at his lotus feet and asked for forgiveness. And the devotee didn't even think twice. Just forgive. This is the result of devotional service. And same way, Draupadi also. Draupadi was so dear to Krishna. She was like her second sister. Subhadra was one, and she was so close, almost like a sister. Draupadi was crying and praying to Krishna, save my honor, Krishna. But she was trying also by herself to save her. When she thought that it is impossible to save myself, my honor in this way, then she left the hands. She simply got her arms up and prayed, Krishna, if you like, you can save. So this is the position of a devotee. At some point, we have to raise our hands and say, Krishna, it's up to you. Whatever you desire, I'm okay with that. So long we try to save ourselves, then that is not very good. If you simply depend on Krishna, if you save me, that is all right. Otherwise, kill me as you like. You see, Maro bhi rakho bhi jo ichha tohar. Bhakti Vinod Thakur says, I surrender unto you. Manas deho geho jo kichu more. My dear Lord, whatever I have got, my possession and what I have got this body. I have got my mind. I have got a little home and my wife, my children. This is my possession. So manasa, deho, geho, jo kichumor, whatever is mine. So whatever I've got, this body, this mind, this wife, these children, this home, everything I surrender unto you. Manas deho, geho, jo kichumor. Ar pilu tuva pade, Nanda Kishore. Krishna is known as Nanda Kishore. So this is surrender. No reservation. Full surrender. Akinchana. Now just see what Draupadi did. What Draupadi did was, she was always wanting to serve Krishna. And one time when Krishna came to Draupadi, Draupadi was a queen also. She was, as soon as Krishna came, she put all his servants on the side. He said, Aapko sabko rest. I'm going to cook for Krishna. I'm going to serve Krishna. I'm going to do everything for Krishna. You just stay. So she was serving herself, being a queen, to Krishna. And one day Krishna thought, my goodness, so I've come for a few days and she's doing so much. Today, before she wakes up, let me go into the kitchen and let me help her out. Do some cutting. And sometimes, like Prabhu's try to do it, but they find it difficult. He had never cooked. Krishna has never cooked before. So he goes and he starts cutting vegetables, and what happens suddenly? He cuts his finger. And at that time, Draupadi comes and she sees that happening. Now she's a queen, the most expensive garments and everything she's wearing. She didn't think, oh, let me go, first aid ka box kidhar rakha hai? Right? Oh, servants, can you please give your purana sari mein se thoda sa kapda? No. She just took her most Kanjivaram. No, not Kanjivaram. Gujarat mein kya pehante hain? Patola. So she took her patola and she poda patola ko. And then she tied it to Krishna. Little bit, made it a band-aid. And she tied that. And Krishna is watching its Draupadi. And that was the result that when this Duryodhan was and his brother Dushasan were removing, with just that one finger, he went like this. See, from his finger, that small piece of cloth, now there was entire Loi Bazaar sarees coming out from there for Draupadi. This is because of constant devotional service. So I'll end here. So what I talked about was, it is Bhakti Yoga is the process. Very easy. Starts with chanting Mahamantra. And today is the best day for those who are not chanting at all. Hare Krishna Mahamantra. This is the best day that you take a vow, 2023 January 1st. I'd say don't even take a vow. But just have a desire that today onwards we'll chant one round. If you would like to do that, I have beads right here for you. I'll give you a bead and a bead back. All you have to do is give 5 minutes of your time to Krishna. Just try it for 6 months and see how your life will transform. Is there anybody in this room who would like to take a bead bag and a bead today? Who's not chanting? Or is everybody chanting? Anybody here who doesn't chant?
But I do have a bag.
You do have a bag. Okay. So you can start today and do one. Anybody else? Okay, well, wonderful. Everybody's chanting. So thank you very much and Hare Krishna. Anybody has any question? One question or two questions? Abhay?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu, thank you for the wonderful class. Prabhu, you were talking about how wherever we worship Krishna or wherever we think about Krishna, that is where Vrindavan is, right? And so my question is, if that is the case, and why do we have to go to Vrindavan in the first place? If we establish Vrindavan everywhere, where we think about Krishna.
So it doesn't say that when we think about Krishna, that place becomes Vrindavan. Where, I'm thinking about Krishna right now, but, my thinking is not 100% pure about Krishna. I'm still thinking that, under offering kya ho raha hai? I'm still thinking actually, a little bit, not much. I'm still thinking that, will we close on time today at 8 o'clock or not? So my thinking is not 100% Krishna, right? So Prabhupada, while he was doing everything, he was with Krishna all the time. That's why, if you are with Prabhupada at that moment, you are in Vrindavan. You could be in India, in Vrindavan, and you're thinking about, when can I go to Loi Bazaar and get my mridanga, or, the gopi dress. Your mind is not there, you're in Vrindavan. So understand, it's not just that, there's many other activities. And it takes time to make that happen. Okay? Does that answer your question? Anybody else? Yes.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, thank you very much for a wonderful speech, lecture. Prabhu, you, in your speech you spoke about there are so many forms of Krishna and Shyam Sundar, different deities, right? So there is a Sakar and there is a Nirakar. If there is a Sakar, there would be differences, right? So many devotees here have Krishna deities at their home. They come here into this temple as well, right? So there are differences, and then there are differences because it is Sakar, right? So there will be material differences, shape differences. So as you said, when the last moment come, the mind will be confused what to remember, right? So that confusion, how it can be eliminated at the last moment of time. I have been in a situation, road accident situation, before I was into KC, and I went into that situation where I was forced into, crunch my life into 1 second, pack the bag and go. So if there is Sakar, there would be differences. That is my point. How it can be eliminated altogether.
Yeah, no, so we're not talking about eliminating it at all. We're trying to say focus on one. Focus on one deity, one form, or one picture, or make that your Aradhya. It could be Narasimha Devi in Mayapur, it could be Krishna Balram, or it could be your home deities, whichever. There's no difference between them. But that's one that comes to my mind. Narrow it down to that one form. And it's okay even if you're not there yet, but eventually that should be our focus also. But there will be variety, and that's the beauty. It's not just one, it's my way or the highway. There's many, many different expansions of the Lord. But we have to find that. Like myself, I'm very, very attracted to Lord Vitthal. Yeah? Now Vitthal is no different than Krishna. I don't differentiate, Krishna, Radha, Shyam Sundar, Krishna, Radha, Madhav and Vitthal different. I don't see that way. But that form of Vitthal is very attractive to me. The Ram Parivar is very attractive, my heart very much. But that doesn't mean I'm less Krishna devotee. But I would I like to focus when I'm chanting, I have Vitthal in front of me, or I have Ram in front of me. So like that, whoever yours, you have to kind of narrow it down to that. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. Hare Bol.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much.